Okay, so first of all, let me welcome you guys. So I'll start from back to front. There you go. Elizabeth, gorgeous. Beautiful to see your face. Hope you're doing well, honey. Oh, you're on mute. Sorry, I've muted you. Let me unmute you.
Yeah,
Won't it? There we go.
yeah, yeah, I hope you're keeping well. Yeah,
I won't say well, but mend. I'm on the mend. I'm on the mend. I sound less like a demon this week, which is always good.
yeah, lots
Yeah.
of stuff going about. I've had is it swollen glands,
Yeah.
especially on the one side in my ear, and I'm like, where did that come from?
There's
Heavy
lots
eyes.
going around, isn't it? I
Yeah,
I know I've seen a lot of people blaming Mercury retrograde, and it could be, who knows? Poor Mercury gets to blame for most things, doesn't it? It's a bit like the moon. But yeah, hon, there's a lot going around.
yeah,
Ayurvedically speaking,
yeah.
this is, that time of transition where we're going into Vata season often
Mhm.
can bring up lots of stuff. And I have to admit, what was most interesting was like all of us got slightly different. I wouldn't say like we got the virus, but all got it in slightly different ways. And so we were like, is this the same thing? Is it not? And so, like, my son and husband got it in the stomach. It tends to
Right.
be their weakest point, whereas both me and my daughter got it in the throat, like more so. So, yeah, interesting. Oh, we could dive into that, couldn't we? That would be a good one. Anyway, another night. Louise, beautiful, gorgeous to see you. I hope I'm well. I'm on the mend, honey. I'm on the mend. I'm not saying 100% because I'm not there yet, but I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Determination is taking me, I tell you. Shari, beautiful, gorgeous to see you. I hope France is treating you well. Carmel, what a gorgeous name. Can we just take in the fact that you've got the most beautiful name? I love that. Lovely to have you here. Hope you're having a gorgeous evening. Rebecca, beautiful, lovely to see you. Julie, gorgeous to see you. Claire, welcome. Hope you're having a beautiful week. Dawn, lovely. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Welcome. Michelle, gorgeous, lovely to see you. Um, don't be offended if I'm not waving at you. It's because your camera's off and I presume you're not waving back, you see. Sue, lovely. I'm going to wave at you because you've got your camera on. Lovely to see you. Charlotte, lovely. Gorgeous to see you. Hope you're doing well. Helena, lovely. I can see you're in a camp fan. Girl after my own heart. iPhone, I'm sorry, lovely. I don't know your name. Hope you're doing well. Gorgeous to have you here. Ah, who's ready for a bit of Reiki? I don't know about you ladies, but I
Me,
certainly am.
yeah, yeah.
Reiki all the way. Oh, Dawn, you had a chill birthday. Oh my gosh, lovely. If I missed your birthday in the kind of like cloudiness that has been my past week. I'm so sorry, lovely. Happy birthday, many happy returns. There we go. We're having a little celebration for you. Hope you are doing well. I hope you celebrated well. Um, we may have to have a private celebration for that, I'm thinking. Special tarot evening. Michelle from Bristol, first time here. Welcome. Yeah, gorgeous to have you here. Hope you're doing well. So, In case you haven't realised, and you may not have done, we're quite a informal group, I will say, in the respect of, that's an interesting one, right? I feel like the ladies in this group take their practices seriously, but not their ego, is what I want to say. So if that resonates with you, hopefully you're in the right place. There's going to be times where I suspect if you join us for a while, there'll be things you haven't experienced, there'll be things you have experienced. And I hope that you take it all with an open heart, open mind, and just see where it goes, right? That's the whole point of these practices, is that we allow them to permeate where they need to permeate, and allow them to brush off exactly where they need to brush off, right? Not everything I say is going to resonate with you. I hope that's as good with you as it is with me, because I will never tell you what to believe. I will never tell you what to follow. I will offer practices, suggestions, perspectives, ways of thinking that hopefully will give you some medicine in some way, shape, or form. So today we're talking and practicing on a really interesting topic, which is funny actually, because I didn't organize it this way because I'm not that organized. But funny enough, I was recording the podcast for my podcast today, and it was all about the idea of power. And then our Reiki Circle comes around, and it's all about empowerment. And it led me to think, before we go into this practice, I want to say, especially with everything going on in the world, I would love to hear from you guys on what does power mean to you? Because I think this is a really important point on where we can get blocked. So if you want to pop it in the comments, or if anyone wants to come off mute and talk about it, I would love to hear from you. But if you want to put it in the comments, that's equally perfect. Oh, great idea, Michelle. Where can I see Michelle? Let me look at your beautiful face again. There you go. I love that. Yes, you're in the right space, hon. Yeah. This is the space for the givers, right? The givers. We find it so easy. Give, give, give. When it comes to ourselves, perhaps a little, if, it's a bit more challenging. But I would love to hear, what's your view on power? And while you're doing that, I'm going to explain. Oh, yes, freedom. Dawn was subject. Yeah. I know, it's this thing I was listening to the other day on a podcast about how the irony is, right, that the people we want to become president or prime minister are often the people that don't want it. It's like they're like, I don't want that responsibility, because they feel it in the heart, they feel it there, and that comes with a weight. So power to you means being heard. Elizabeth, power for you is about being in the now moment. Oh my gosh, lovely. You are bang on with my podcast this week. Yeah. That's really interesting. Power for you, Rebecca, is about expression. Good one. Louise, power is used to give, as long as power is used to give you empowerment when you need it for your confidence. Interesting. Helena, it's your personal compass. I love that way of thinking. Shari, when I place expectations on another person and rely on them doing what I want them to do for me to be happy, that gives away my power to them. Oh, great observation. I love that. Oh my gosh, they're all coming through thick and fast. And I really work hard on not doing that. Yeah, that's a hard one. Michelle, we all have power and the opportunity to use it either for good of all, no matter where they come from or who they are. And Michelle, I love that viewpoint. I do. I do. So let's think about power in terms of ourselves. And more importantly, I think it's really important. I'll be honest, I had a whole plan for tonight. It's already gone out the window. Oh, Charlotte, let me look at your perspective, lovely. So Charlotte, I would say power from a feminine point of view is speaking up, rising up. For example, I think for a long time, men have mainly been in power and women have been told to be silent. Mary Magdalene, I think, was a woman of power and she anointed Jesus' feet. Yes. And then was also absolutely corrupted in the way that she was spoken about in the Bible and many of the spiritual teachings following the Christian lineage. So I hear you, honey. I hear you. So power's a funny thing, right? It's a really funny thing. We can see it. I think we see many examples in the world at the moment where it's being abused, where it's being taken for granted. I also feel like, from a very human point of view, I'm not talking as a spiritual teacher, I'm not talking as a Reiki master here, but I'm talking as a human, as a woman. I also feel it being misused, mismanaged by many different parts of society, not just in other parts of the world. But I also know there's something that I have within me that is, and I want to use the word beyond me. And I'm not saying this has to resonate with you, right? We all have our own way of relating to spiritual or philosophy in that respect. Not everyone has belief systems that encompass a divine, but there is something within me that I think all of us can resonate, that there are times when I feel in my power, where I feel in a strength that isn't coming from a place of having to conjure it, that isn't coming from a place of I've got to make this happen. It's a no, that's my line, that's the thing, that's the whatever that may be. This is who I am in this moment, and I'm comfortable with that. And there are many things that can pull us out of that. Many things, right? Whether it's, I don't know about you guys, but social media for me, geez, you watch social media for 5 minutes, all of a sudden you feel like your life is pointless. You've achieved nothing. And then you remember, oh yeah, they're all talking rubbish, or only giving you one side of the story, or, like limiting your perception on what's really going on, or the news, I went through a really long stage of just ignoring the news, thinking that was the best thing for my well-being, and it really was. But then I remembered that I wanted to be an active part of humanity, and that also involved keeping up on what was going on in the world and having an opinion on it again. And that in itself can feel also empowering and disempowering, and I would say equal measures, but perhaps disempowering a little bit more. But tonight, what I wanted to invite you to do is, well, what I wanted to lead you through was a kind of practice that puts us back in our power. So from that place of you honoring who you are, what you believe, what matters to you, what really values that you hold close to your heart, and so that you can, and this is where, I might have a different belief system to you, but I genuinely believe from the bottom of my heart, and you may have a very different view, and that's obviously welcome, but I believe that there is something that each of us are here to do. I believe there is a kind of lesson, I say lesson, activity, something that we are here to do to lead ourselves forward, but ultimately humanity. And I also believe we can't do that if we are operating from the place of insecurity, if we're operating from the place of self-doubt, if we're operating from the place of second-guessing our every action and worrying about what everyone else will think of us or the judgment that will be cast upon us. And Charlotte, actually, your reference to Mary Magdalene is a beautiful example, because although I don't particularly myself, I don't follow the Christian lineage. I grew up Catholic, right? I had that Catholic schooling. I think Mary Magdalene is a beautiful example of this, with her power and strength. And for anyone that hasn't read the Bible, or doesn't know the power of Mary Magdalene, she was a very influential member of Jesus's cohort, right? And from my perspective, there was a big smear campaign on the woman of the group. Unsurprising, right? And she is a beautiful example of where our power comes from the dignity that we hold within, from that kind of certainty that we hold within of why we're here, what we believe, the values that matter to us, and how we're choosing to live. So with that in mind, I hope you take a moment to get comfy, get cozy, get a little nest ready, because I'm going to guide us through a little practice to help us reconnect with our power. And for those of you that haven't joined us before, know there'll be time at the end to share without it being recorded, right? So I want you to have safe space to know that if you share something, it's not going to end up on YouTube. And you can reveal to the group exactly what you need to reveal. So as I'm cleansing our space, I invite you to take a moment, maybe with your eyes closed, depending on how it feels, to just consider what's your relationship with power and your own personal power. And what about that, if anything, you want to change, you want to improve, where you want to see growth? And when you feel like you've got a clear intention for what you want to take away from this session, I invite you to plant that like a little seed in your heart space, maybe placing a hand there and envisioning this seed being planted deep into the unctuous, nurturing soil of your heart. Ready to bloom and blossom as this session unfolds. Maybe taking a moment to consider what that will feel like, what that will look like, how you will be different. If that intention unfolds as you desire, what would be different in the way you be, in the things you have, and the things you have access to? So in terms of support, give yourself space for clarity of what is it that you desire. What does the empowered version of you look, feel, and behave like? So Now you've got your intention. For those of you that work with guides or particular deities or ascended masters, I invite you to see if you can invite them in to join you this evening. Just through the intention in your heart space, flowing that out into the universe. And just noticing if you get a response in whatever way perhaps you normally do. Or for those of you that might be newer to these practices, just taking a moment to notice after your invitation, does the energy change in any way? Do you feel a little bit more different? And I'm laughing as a big plane seems to be going overhead. I say a big plane. It's the Isle of Wight, right? Our planes are not big. Inviting in that help and support. And coming to that breath in that belly. We've got this beautiful round belly that most of us try to make smaller. This cauldron shape below the belly button, above the pubic bone. This sacral area. But from a Zen and also Reiki point of view, this is our cauldron of energy. So let's take a moment to breathe energy into that hara space. And you don't need any magic formula for that. Just your attention and the breath. So take a moment to refill your cup. With each breath that comes in, beautiful restorative energy. And with each exhale, perhaps releasing anything you no longer wish to carry. Breathing in that vital life force. Exhaling anything that's playing on the mind and distracting you from this moment. I'm going to leave you to spend a moment with your breath. And I invite you to notice there's no right or wrong around this. as long as your intention is there. Breathing in that restorative energy, breathing out that which doesn't serve you. And as always, if you get distracted by thought, emotion, physical sensation in the body, or external circumstances, that's fine, that's perfectly normal. And we gently bring our attention back to breathing in that vital life force, and exhaling that which isn't serving us right now. And I invite you now to consider a question. That part of you that doesn't feel so empowered, where does it live in the body? Where do you feel it most? That part of you that perhaps doesn't want to even take on power, or feels like it's been snatched from them. And I invite you to place your hands there now. And I invite you not to overthink this. If there's any amongst us that feels like they need to get the right area, I invite you to let that go. Just trust that little voice inside that says left hand here, right hand there. And for those of you that are Reiki trained, I invite you to connect to your Reiki energy in the way that feels right for you, your usual process. For those of you that are newer here or haven't been trained, I invite you to imagine that coming down through the crown of your head is this most beautiful iridescent light, that brings with it the most healing qualities that you can imagine. And that most beautiful light, that healing energy, is working its way down through your crown, down through your head, down into your neck and into the heart space. And from the heart space, it is traveling across both arms into the palms. And maybe you can feel that. Maybe in the palms you can feel a tingling, a warmth, a coolness. Maybe you just trust or know that it's there. Maybe you have a different sensation entirely. But I invite you to place your hands, if you haven't already, on those parts of you that came forward when I spoke the word of disempowerment. Now, the truth is, we've all had those times. Those times when our voice hasn't been heard. When we were dismissed. When we were made to feel less than. Let's connect to that part of us now. And show it the kindness, the love that we would if it was a child in that situation. If it was someone we cared about. And allow that compassion to flow through. Remembering this isn't about a right way or a wrong way of doing this. It's about coming back to feeling. And allowing that part of you to feel heard, feel seen, and feel empowered by your attention. For that part of you to know it matters. And if at any point that brings up too much to you, you can come back to that breath in the belly and allow your attention to focus there. But for those of you that are willing and able, see if you can sit with that part of you that was wounded, that part of you that was hurt. See if you can sit beside it, like the best friend it needed. Offer the love, the compassion, the empathy. No need to judge. And next, I invite you to tap into an emotion that we often avoid in our Reiki practice, which is anger, right? Just for today, I shall not anger. But that doesn't mean we don't listen to it. I invite you to find that anger in your body that has taken away your power. The anger that has been caused through unfairness. The anger that's come from frustration. And instead of ignoring the beautiful power that lies inside this anger, I invite you to imagine, or if you don't imagine in a visual sense, I invite you to sense, to know, to feel. I invite you to be with this anger and listen to what it wants you to know. Where is your power being lost? Where has your anger tried to direct you? Where is your energy been diverted because of other external circumstances unfairly? Where has your power been taken away? And again, if at any point this becomes too much, I invite you to come back to the breath and the belly and just notice the gentle rise and fall. But if you can, I invite you to sit with this anger as a friend, as someone who wishes to listen and understand. I invite you to hear what your anger has to say now. And when your anger is finished talking, I invite you to consider how you wish to comfort this part of you. This part of you that is raw. This part of you that may be judged by yourself, if not others. What do you want it to know? If this was a child in your care, how would you soothe this soul? And as you've listened to your anger and the disempowered parts of you, I invite you to notice how that power returns, how your energy goes from these emotions of disempowerment and anger, and they come back to the here and now. How they come back to the power of your being after you have given them the time and attention they deserve. And maybe you can feel that flowing back to you now. Maybe you can feel your being becoming more alive, more awake, more full of energy, more filled with power, more vibrant. And for those of you that have a journal with you this evening, you may wish to record insights of what you've experienced, any words of wisdom that came through for you from guides, your higher self, from Reiki itself, from deities. For those of you who don't wish to journal, who love the ethereal realm, I feel you, ladies. And you may wish to just quietly contemplate how you may wish to integrate this wisdom that you received this evening from the part of you that felt disempowered, from the part of you that felt angry at the injustice. And start to consider how you may wish to start incorporating these parts of you into the you that's present now, without judgment, without shame. I'm going to give you a moment to do that. Charlotte, lovely. We're just taking a moment to journal on our Reiki journal, on our Reiki journey, on what happened in that session, what came through for us, and what we want to implement into our day-to-day life. And if you're not sure where to take this in your journal, a really lovely question I come back to time and time again is, if I was doing this thing. So for example, in our situation this evening, if I was genuinely feeling the most empowered sense of self, how would that change the way I was being, doing, and having? So what would be different about the things I allowed myself to be? What would be different about the things that I allowed myself to have? And what would be different about the things I allowed myself to do? Be, do, have. Great questions. Okay, lovelies. For those of you watching on replay, this is where we're going to love and leave you. And we're going to open up our circle to those that wish to share. If you are watching on replay, I would love to hear from you. I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.